The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Welcome to An Open Door on the Arts. My name is Barb Richer, and I am your host as we travel the Capital Region, meeting the many artists that so enrich our lives. It's a special treat for me today to have this gentleman back. I'm not going to tell you who he is quite yet, but I will say, and maybe you can guess, that Albany Pro Musica has been just inspiring people for the last 2 years all over the place. First of all, it's our chorus in residence at the Troy Music Hall. It's a trademark a cappella chorus with a big voice and so very much to offer. Their performances include with Albany Symphony, Capital District Youth Chorale, New York City Ballet, and the Philadelphia Orchestra. There's so much happening in their life, and in great part, it's the welcoming by the community and the efforts of a very special gentleman, Jose Daniel Flores Caraballo, the artistic director and conductor, and it's my great pleasure to have him return to our program today.
It's my pleasure to be back. Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you here. Are you into your second year, third year?
This is now actually my third year. I just cannot believe it. That's it.
That doesn't.
Yes,
that doesn't seem like that's possible.
Right, but it is.
And so much has happened.
Yes.
I want our audience to know, in case they didn't make it to the Many Moods of Christmas, which was just last Sunday, that it was an inspiration, that it was amazing, that it was a packed house, it was full, people were in all of the balconies, and the chorus was astonishing. Just the range of their abilities and you conducting and the way they came in, it was an inspiration, and I think led everybody in that audience to want to go out and celebrate everything that this time of year is.
Well, thank you.
And
thank
a
you.
Great addition to a friend of yours who I'll allow you to make one mention of. Go ahead.
Right. Well, I think the biggest compliment I just heard from a person the other day who said that to her this was a life-changing experience. And I truly believe that choral music has that power. And when you put it together with a very fine orchestra and a world-class tenor that we had, and a packed audience, as you just said, a packed hall. It's very special. It was indeed a very special night.
It really was. The first half of it, the first part of the
concert. Yeah.
Of the concert, I was actually in tears a good many times and looked around and saw people being quite moved and quite involved.
Yeah,
and,
in fact, what we did for that opening is something that you cannot do at just any hall. That's one of the advantages of being the chorus in residence at the Troy Music Hall. The acoustics of that place allows us to have the chorus singing from anywhere in the hall, and that's exactly what we did. We had, as you remember, the hall in darkness, and the choir was singing distributed through the hall and a cappella, just for a mysterious, inspiring opening. So I'm glad that was so well received.
It was very, not just by myself, the people around me, it was very apparent that we were all just lifted, and you may say the name of the tenor, I won't give it justice.
Rafael Davila.
Yes. And just a shout out to him, amazing. But we're actually here to talk about now the second half of the series, which begins in February.
Right. The second half of the season, the big program of the second half is Winds of Love on February 26th, right?
26th, yeah.
February 26th with the Canadian Brass. We are very excited to have this collaboration with this group, which is considered probably the most famous brass quintet in the world. They're not only excellent musicians, but they provide energetic and innovating programs. And this program will be innovative as well. The concept, when I called it Winds of Love, basically was to have a sort of a contest between the winds of the human voice and the winds of the brass instruments. And love, the reason for the word love is basically because I wanted to tailor the programming around that subject. So an anchor piece of that program that the choir will sing is called I Hate and I Love by Dominic Argento. And it's a very, very intriguing piece for chorus and percussion. And then to close, we have a number of other pieces, but then to close, we're going to have Canita Tuba, a new arrangement especially for the Canadian Brass by our composer in residence, Donald McCollum.
Oh, how wonderful.
Who is going to be present at the performance. He's going to be taking questions and answers. I mean, there's going to be a session of questions and answers with the audience and the composer. So there's another element of this concert that is really very special, and is that we have arranged for a master class by these world-class musicians to our local students. So
the Canadian Brass doing a master class?
Yes.
How wonderful.
So the day before the concert, we're going to have students from the Empire State Youth Orchestra, which is such a fine group of young musicians. They will be performing for the Canadian Brass. They will be giving them feedback, and there's going to be a number of students seated at the hall. We expect to have a good audience from students from the capital region. They benefit from that.
I would think so. What a wonderful idea. That's like a something that you manage to do with so many of your performances, that you manage to tie in the community in various ways, and this is wonderful to bring the youth orchestra and have them benefit from this.
We exist because of this community. It is this community that very generously support who we are and what we do. So any opportunity that we have in which we could give back, it's just the right thing to do.
That's amazing. That's a wonderful thing to have happening. So that's February 26th.
Correct.
The Winds of Love, Canadian Brass,
at the Music Hall.
Albany Pro Musica.
Troy Semik's Bank Music Hall, yes.
That's wonderful. And I thought that the Winds of Love must just have something to do with the fact that that's the month of Valentine's Day, and we're supposed to be out there loving each other. And,
right.
But the 26th will remind us that should continue throughout the month, throughout the year, and throughout every season, that we reach out and to one another.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because the subject of love is a subject that I decided needed to be present in this whole series. In fact, you may remember there was a climatic point, a very important point at our first concert in October, when we sang this marvelous piece by Ramstad. And we dedicated that piece, which is a call for love to victims of hate crimes and violence. In fact, I decided that I will want to repeat that piece at the February concert. But that concert also in October started with a call for peace.
Yes.
And then our series this year is going to finish with a call for peace. So it's a cycle we've been doing on these two subjects of love and peace. Because as as we all know, that conversation needs to happen at times when our nation is so divided.
Yes.
This takes us to the concluding program of our series, which is The Art Man, a Mass for Peace.
Yes.
So in this case, this is a work by composer Carl Jenkins. He's Welsh.
And this is May 6th.
This is May 6th. And this time we're going to go out from our from Troy Music Hall into MPAC at
yes.
RPI. And
That's exciting.
The reason for that, there's two reasons. We're going to need a large orchestra, so we're going to need, and we're going to have a large chorus, is the Masterworks, Albany Pro Musica Masterworks, plus the Capital District Youth Chorale, plus a 53-piece orchestra. So we needed a larger stage. But also, we needed to be there because this particular work has a film that was created for this work. It's a work that describes the madness, horrors of war, and what we as humanity have been doing with wars through history. So it's a very, very poignant work. Really is powerful, and we're simply very excited about it.
I believe, I'm not mistaken, I think it actually won the Pulitzer Prize at the time it was first introduced.
No, Jenkins is a very renowned composer, many different prizes, but in fact, talking of this particular work, since the first performance in the year 2000, it's been performed over 1,500 times.
Oh my word.
And in fact, Jenkins is considered possibly the most performed living composer of our times.
Really?
And one of the things that he does that is really very special is that he does take elements from different cultures and incorporates that into his music. So his music is innovative, still accessible, very beautiful, and I am absolutely sure that everyone will not only love his music at that concert, they will have, again, what you were talking about, our Christmas program.
Very
and it's a moment of inspiration, and I really think it's going to be a transformational concert. And I don't want to forget to tell you that to add to this and our interest in Albany Pro Musica and having an impact in this community beyond the concert hall, we have decided to put a number of activities for a month in which we're going to engage different organizations from this community, from the capital region, in a conversation about reconciliation and peace.
And this is prior to the concert?
This is all leading into the concert. 1 month of activities, and we will be ready to announce that very soon, and what it will take. You may remember last year we did something like that for City of Immigrants.
I do, and it was wonderful.
It was a great outreach, and I'm very happy to see that a number of institutions are coming forward with great interest.
It's an excellent concept. I mean, I had not been familiar with doing things like that, and the City of Immigrants was sort of that introduction to me, and I loved it that it involved so much, and that in particular because it was home, it was our home. But this Reach Out Now with everything that we're watching in the world happening with particularly as we speak, everything that's happening in Aleppo and the poor awful situation there, and people just scavenging for their life. And there are times, these are our times, but we, in order to be in touch with them, sometimes we have to be reminded in beautiful ways, like the choir, the chorus, because we shut down to how troublesome these times can be and how horrible these times can be. But to come into a music hall and to be presented with is the inspiration of the voices and the people, and to know that you're actually together. That's what you bring. That's what your chorus brings. We are with others, and we can do this together. It's just
well, it is a privilege. It really is, and music provides a tool for to have our soul speaking in ways that words fail.
right.
And so I am excited, and I am also humbled to see that this community is accepting our invitation to be part of not only of our concerts, but to be part of the community engagement that we're doing, and to be an extension of this message we're trying to get across.
So for the May concert, the Armed Man, A Masterpiece, we should definitely begin looking in spring for these activities to be announced throughout the capital region?
Yes, absolutely. They will be. People can also see these in albanypromusica.org, our website. Mm-hmm. They will be published very soon.
Wonderful.
There. So we're going to have good coverage of
Wonderful. Well, I hope our audience, and I know I did a lot of the things last year for City of Immigrants, and will be very inspired to be doing these too. Thank you for bringing that to our community. Now, I did want to mention too the Capital District Youth Crowd.
The high school festival.
You mentioned them. They will be part of this grandness at the MPAC. They'll be singing.
The Capital District Youth Chorale.
Okay.
They will be part of that performance. And talking of youth, Albany Pro Musica has a great interest in education. So we every year do a high school choral festival, and it's a popular program people love. But there's something very special happening this year for the first time, which will continue, by the way.
And this is January 22nd?
This is on January 22nd at the Troy Music Hall. And what is different this time is that we're going to have our composer in residence, which this year is Donald McCullough, who is not only a great composer, he's a very fine conductor. He's going to be participating of this festival. We have expanded the time that the students spend in this festival. They used to come just for a rehearsal and performance. Now we have added 2 hours of rehearsals and clinics.
Clinics. How wonderful.
The teachers will benefit from clinics from this prominent composer, and the students will benefit from rehearsing with him.
Yes.
They will rehearse with me as well, and in this festival, every choir perform on their own, but they also perform together in mass chorus together with Albany Pro Musica. So these are very exciting times because the composer in residence program that we started last year. It is a program that is developing very, very rapidly into a bigger program that we even anticipated, and I cannot wait to tell you the news about what's going to happen with that next year, but I need to wait.
But we're going to have to wait. I thought I could get it out of him, but we're just going to have to wait. But that's January 22nd at the Troy Music Hall.
Right.
And we will be seeing the youth chorus, all of the choral finalists from the high schools.
Right.
And Albany Pro Musica.
Correct.
Together.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
Each choir performs independently, and then we perform together in mass chorus at the end.
And this is all a cappella?
No, well, some a cappella, some with piano.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. How wonderful. That's grand. That's something that you all don't want to miss for sure. And then on April 8th, you also have another performance.
Of
I don't know
course.
how you keep track of what you're doing or how.
Well, I don't. I lose track of what I'm doing every day. But yes, it's such a thrill to be able to perform with the Albany Symphony and with David Alan Miller. So this time we're going to do Beethoven's Ninth, which is one of the most beloved and popular pieces of choral music in the world of symphonies. And what is fascinating about this particular year is that we started our year performing, as you mentioned, with the New York City Ballet, and right after that with the Philadelphia Orchestra. And one of the works that we performed with the Philadelphia Orchestra as PAC was precisely the Beethoven Ninth. Now we get to repeat it for our Albany audience, and with a different orchestra. And that's always an opportunity for musical growth, because every conductor has a different idea on how to perform every single piece of music. So it will be very interesting for us.
Let me ask you about that, just to take it a little bit further, because that is very interesting and something I've thought about a lot. Musicians do have their own mark and their own interpretation of a piece, so it's not going to be the same thing, but it's very interesting. It's the same piece of music. What kind of nuances can you expect anything from?
Yeah. Well, you said that very elegantly, but what it means is that musicians are opinionated, aren't
Yes, they are.
No, but the truth is that the musical language is never clear. It's a bit ambiguous. It's like a gray area. A composer gives you a general idea of what he wants. There's no way to ever say with absolute certainty what a composer really wanted. And I would argue that even with a living composer, that's hard, because I have had experiences in which I am performing something by a living composer, and when I mention a new idea, he would say, "Well, I never thought of that, but that's terrific, let's do it." So I think even composers, when they write something, they're aspects of their music that is yet to be discovered by themselves.
Yes, how interesting.
But what it is that every director will bring a different perspective at many different levels. One is you hopefully will have time to learn about the composer intentions and the time in which the music was written, and analyze everything within that context. But we also have the responsibility of analyzing the music as we perform it within the context of the times that we're living. Beyond that, there's no way that who you are will not affect your music.
Of course.
So this affects your tempo decisions. It affects the phrasing decisions. It affects every aspect of the interpretation of the work that you're doing. And what is fascinating to me is that, well, when I look at that and I look at what different directors do with the music, I try to look at that with open eyes, and I try to see what can I learn from that.
Yes,
because to pretend that I will have the ultimate truth is just not right. So,
but it must be a temptation every once in a while.
No, well, I wouldn't. I don't think is. I mean, you need to make your own decisions and be in peace with that. But I think we're always searching for more. So it really is a fascinating.
What's that like?
Process.
Can you put yourself, or do you ever put yourself in the place of the chorus? Now they also may have an interpretation, but their work is to carry out the interpretation of their conductor.
That's one of the most delicate lines we have to dance, because in a good chorus like Albany Pro Musica, you have a number of colleagues. I always call this chorus my colleagues, because they're very fine musicians, and many of them with advanced degrees in music. Of course, they come with their own ideas. Hopefully, the director have developed a trust where they will follow your direction. It doesn't mean that they will always agree. I think they understand the dynamic, and the dynamic is that there's just one conductor.
Right.
But this even happened to me if I prepare the chorus for any other conductor, as I do on occasion. I always tell my chorus, remember, I just prepare you, but when the other conductor stands there, there's just one conductor.
One conductor.
So whatever changes he wants to make is what it is. So we understand the discipline.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that we will always agree.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting now for them to so close on the heels of the Philadelphia Orchestra to be performing the same piece
Yes,
with.
And the way I see it
Illinois.
is, it's only an opportunity for musical growth.
Growth.
It
That's
really
right.
is.
That's right. Wonderful way to look at it. I think we have about 2 minutes left, maybe 2.5. So I just kind of want to recap because these programs are all so beautiful. February 26th, we have the Winds of Love with
Canadian brass.
the Canadian brass, and I can't wait for that. It'll be amazing to hear the brass with the voices in that hall. Will just be stunning. May 6th, The Armed Man, a Mass for Peace, with many community events leading up to that. And all of the string running through all of these really is our need to be aware and hopeful and involved and committed to one another and a world in which we can all live
In
at peace. At peace. And then beyond that, we have back in January, we have the finalists from the high school choral festival. Reminding people that May 6th, The Armed Man, the Mass for Peace, preceded by all the community events, and also performed at MPAC, which will just be stunning in bringing all of these aspects of what it takes to make peace together. So tell me, how do you feel about this season as we wrap up?
Very exciting. It's a very exciting season. Really, totally thrilling to start with the New York City Ballet and the Philadelphia Orchestra, and then a cappella music, which this choir does so beautifully, and then the Pro Musica Orchestra, which is better every year, and the symphony and Canadian brass. I don't know how can I top it next year. But
There's no end. There's no end in
it's
sight.
It's very exciting.
No end in sight. I'm so glad you shared these things with us. We will pack the house for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. This is a great happening in Albany, and I hope to see you all next, the second half of this season at all these wonderful events. And together we'll bring some understanding and peace. Thank you.
Peace.
Thank you.